Right. You see next note point on the rough hemispherical surface. On the rough hemispherical surface. Here it is the rough hemispherical surface. Radius is here, it is the highest point, and radius is Kepler. Radius is Kepler, center is say O. Here the chain of mass m is kept on the hemisphere as shown in the figure. Then potential energy of the chain with respect to the reference level with zero potential energy level. Here actually zero potential energy level means ground. It is zero potential energy level. Zero potential energy level. One chain is kept like this. One chain is kept on the hemispherical surface like this, so that the length of the chain is equal to 1/4 of the circle here. The mass of the chain is given small m. Mass of the chain is given small m. Okay, what is the potential energy of this chain? They asked. It is the not point mass. It is not the point mass. In order to find the potential energy of this chain, here first you imagine one element here. Suppose if it is the point mass, if the point mass is here, then what is the potential energy means? Mg into this vertical height, that gives the potential energy stored in that particle. But it is the external object. From that, you consider the small element here. You consider a small element having length dl. This length is say dl, small element, at an angle theta with horizontal, and the length of the element makes an angle d theta because the length of the element is very small. That's why length of the element makes very small angle d theta at the center. Okay, now what is the potential energy of this element? Mass of this element is dm. Then potential energy of this element means, you see, the vertical height of the element from the reference level or zero potential energy level is say y. Okay, then the potential energy of this element du is equal to mass of the element from the reference level when the element is at a height y. What is the formula for potential energy? Mg h no dm into z into y. Okay, so this is equal to what is the mass of the element? The total mass of the chain is given as small m. What is the length of the element? Because the length of the element, length of this chain is 1/4, one quadrant of the circle. That means pi r by 4, no? For pi r by 4 length of the chain, the mass is m. For unit length, what is the mass means? You write pi r by 4. It is the mass per unit length. If it is the mass per unit length, then for this length, what is the mass? Means into dm. Sorry, length dl. dl you write. Length dl. Okay, into it is the mass of the element into z into height of this one is, height is not known, but radius r is known. From this right angle triangle you take sine theta. Since sine theta is equal to opposite by hypotenuse, opposite is y by hypotenuse means equal to radius of the hemispherical surface only, no? So v into y can be written as r sine theta. We can write r sine theta. Okay, this is equal to 4m by 4m by pi r into dl means angle subtended by this length of the element dl at the center is d theta. So d theta can be written as arc by radius, no? Then arc dl can be written as r into d theta, no? R into d theta into g into r sin theta. Here one r will be cancelled. Then remaining you write. Remaining du is equal to 4m v r by pi, okay, into sin theta d theta. Sin theta d theta. Now we have converted the all variables into single variable. Only here theta is variable. When you consider the different elements here, angle made by the element with horizontal will change. So this is only the variable. Remaining all are constants now. That's why, therefore, this is the potential energy of the element considered. Then this type of elements can imagine from this end to this end means from the angle theta is equal to 0 to theta is equal to 90. We can imagine the number of infinite number of such elements. For each and every element, we find the potential energy and you add them. So instead of doing so, for one element, you find the potential energy and you integrate it. When you integrate the potential length of the element between the limits theta is equal to 0 to theta is equal to 90, 0 to 90. Here it is theta is equal to 90 pi by 2. Here theta is equal to 0 degree, okay, or 0 radian. So that is equal to integral 4 mg Kepler by pi into sin theta d theta. Limits theta is equal to 0 radian to pi by 2. So therefore u is equal to 4 mg r by pi into sin theta, integral sin theta, because 4 mg r by pi is constant, if you keep aside. Integral sin theta d theta means minus cos theta, no? Minus cos theta. Limits 0 to pi by 2. So therefore u is equal to 4 mg Kepler by pi into first upper limit cos 90, 0 you will get. Before substituting lower limit you put minus sign, minus or minus plus, plus cos 0, 1. Therefore potential length is stored in the chain is equal to 4 mg r by pi. 4 mg r by pi. Sometimes they may ask, whenever the chain is kept on the horizontal surface, what is the minimum work to be done to arrange the chain like this? What is the minimum work to be done to arrange the chain like this? Means that is equal to potential energy acquired. What is the work done by gravity in keeping the chain from this? What is the minimum work done by the gravity to keep the chain on the hemispherical surface? Means work done by gravity is negative. That's why you have to write minus sign. Because we lifted the chain against the gravity like this, that from the ground. That's why work done by gravity is negative. You have to write. Okay. So in the same case, so this is the formula for potential energy stored in the chain. Length, what is the length? Pi r by 2. Yeah, yeah. Its total length is pi r, no? Okay, it is 2. It is 2. You will get. Okay. 2 you will get. So final answer is 2. So 2 mg r by pi you will get. Okay. Because length of the coordinate of the circle, no? So pi r by 2. 2 you will get. You write all of. Right. This is the potential energy stored in the chain. Okay, next step. Where r cancelled? One more r is there now. Here one r is cancelled. One more r is here now. One more r is here. So one r will be there only. Okay. Two mg r by pi. That is the answer. Yesterday I wanted to say one more point. Okay, you see. One problem, all of you listen. A person is pulling a mass suitcase slowly from the ground on a fixed rough hemispherical surface up to the top of the hemisphere with the help of a light inextensible string. If the work done by the person is dash. I think we did in the class. Is it completed or not? You tell me. Shall I write this one? I think I said this problem. You see, is it completed or not? You see, one body is pulled onto the rough hemispherical surface. One body is pulled by the man. One body is pulled by the man by means of a string, light inextensible string on the rough hemispherical surface. What is the work done by the man? I think I have completed. Not completed. Okay, 13th point. Okay, you see here the radius of this hemispherical surface. A sphere of it is a sphere of mass. A person pulling a mass 2 kg. Mass of the sphere is m is equal to 2 kg. That is pulling onto the rough hemispherical surface by means of the person here. A person standing here and he pulls the chain, he pulls the string in this direction so that the body rises, the body slides on the hemispherical surface like this. Okay, now a person is pulling the mass 2 kg slowly from the ground on a fixed rough hemispherical surface up to the top. This body is pulled up to the top. Then what is the amount of work to be done to pull the body up to the top? That is the question they asked. Okay, here you see, suppose while pulling, if the body lies somewhere here, at that time, to what angle the body displaces is say theta. From this position, suppose the body here at this position, the weight of the body mg acts vertically downwards direction, and as by means of a string, it is pulled slowly or gently in this direction. The displacement of the body is along tangential direction. Suppose the small displacement of the body along the tangential direction is say ds. It makes the displacement of the this body makes an angle d theta at the center say. The displacement is smallest. So for the small displacement ds, there is no considerable change in the friction, because friction at this point depends on the normal action. At this point, what is the normal action means? You see, if it is theta, then angle made by this line with horizontal is theta. That's why it is theta. It is theta. So it is 90 minus theta now. Suppose if we draw the tangent at this point, so angle made by this line with horizontal is theta means this is theta. So this is 90 minus theta. This is theta. So this here. This component is mg sin theta. This component is mg cos theta. Okay. Here mg sin theta is perpendicular to the direction. Mg sin theta is perpendicular to the this tangent drawn at this point now. That's why the weight component mg sin theta. With this weight component, the body pushes the hemispherical surface towards center. The equivalent normal reaction acts on the body in this direction. Therefore, at this point, while the body is moving in this direction, the friction acts in opposite direction. So work done by friction for the small displacement ds is equal to friction force into small displacement ds, but friction is in this direction, displacement is in opposite direction. That's why minus we have to write. So this is equal to minus. What is friction force? Mu into normal reaction into whatever the displacement. Angle subtended by this small displacement at the center is d theta, which is equal to ds by radius of the hemispherical surface, say r. Okay. Now ds means we can write r into d theta. that is equal to minus mu into normal reaction at this point means normal reaction is equal to, you see, n is equal to mg sin theta, no? So mg sin theta into r into d theta. Here minus mu mg r, all are constant. The coefficient of friction remains constant throughout the surface of the hemispherical ball. If it is varies, that information will be given, we substitute there, into sin theta d theta. This is the small work done by the friction to displace the body through a small distance ds. Therefore, to displace the body from theta is equal to 0 degree to theta is equal to 90 degree or theta is equal to pi by 2 radian. What is the total work done? Total work done by the friction Wf is equal to integral dwf from theta is equal to 0 to 90 degree. That is equal to integral dwf means minus mu mg Kepler into sin theta d theta. 0 theta is equal to 0 to 90 degree. So minus mu mg are constant, because even you move the body like this, these parameters does not change. Only angle will change. When it displaces like this, angle will change. That's why integral sin theta into d theta. Limits theta is equal to 0 degree to 90 degree. Therefore, minus mu mg r into integral sin theta means minus cos theta, 0 to 90 degree. So minus mu mg r into minus cos 90 0. When you substitute the lower limit, you put minus sign, minus or minus plus cos 0 1. So minus mu mg r. So work done by friction in this case is equal to minus mu mg by mu mg r. Sorry, mu mg r. Here, the man pulling the body onto the hemispherical surface slowly or with constant speed up to the top. If so, in this case, what is the work done by the gravity? Work done by gravity in this case is how much? Whenever the man pulls the body from this position to this position, gravity is vertically downwards. Against the gravity, the body rises up to a height equal to radius of the hemispherical ball. When the body is displaced from this position to this position, up to what vertical distance the body travels means equal to r only, no? So that is equal to r. So against the gravity, the body travels. That's why work done by the gravity is negative. Minus the force acts on the gravitational force acts on the body is mg downwards. Displacement of the body when it travels from this point to this point is upward direction is equal to r. Work done is equal to fs cos theta. That means f means mg into displacement, which is equal to r into cos 180 minus 1. So minus you will get. It is the work done by gravity. What is the work done by tension? Here actually, this body is pulled by the string, which is pulled by the man. No, the body is pulled by the string that is pulled by the man, isn't it? All of you stop your video sharings. So the body is pulled by the string, which is in turn pulled by the man. Okay, that's why. What is the work done by the string on this body? What is the work done by the string on the body? You see, net work done by body. Net work done on the body is equal to change in kinetic energy of the body. As this body is pulled slowly or with uniform speed on the hemispherical surface, this is equal to initial kinetic energy, final kinetic energy 0. Or when it is pulled slowly, there is no change in the speed. That's why initial kinetic energy, final kinetic energy both are equal. As chain is pulled slowly or body is pulled slowly, as body is pulled slowly, not with acceleration, slowly, that means the acceleration is 0. That's why there is no gain in the velocity by the body. That's why therefore final kinetic energy and initial kinetic energy both are equal. That's why it becomes 0. What is the net work done? Work done here, whenever the body is pulling like this, the string pulls the body in upward direction. That's why work done by the tension is there. Tension of the string here is say T. Tension of the string is say T. Then work done by tension plus against the friction, the body travel like this. That's why work done by the friction is there, plus work done by the gravity is also there. These are the three forces. Work done by three forces acts on the body while pulling in this direction, which is equal to net work done, that is 0. From this work done by tension, we need work done by tension is equal to minus work done by friction minus work done by gravity. So minus work done by friction means minus mu mgr. Okay, minus work done by gravity means minus mgr. Therefore, work done by tension or work done by man, because work done by tension means work done by the spring, which is pulled by man. That's why work done by spring or work done by tension or work done by man, both are all are same. Work done by string, work done by tension or work done by man, all are same, which is equal to, you see here, minus minus plus mu mgr plus mgr. You take mgr common. mgr you take common, mu plus 1. So this is the work done by string or work done by tension or work done by man in pulling the body onto the hemispherical surface to the top from the bottom. So this concept is also very, very important. Here there are in the system there is only one body. In the system there is only one body, no? One body is there, no? The string is not controls the motion of the two bodies. If it controls the motion of the two bodies in the system, net work done by net tension, work done by tension on the system is 0. But here only one body is there, no? No, you see, in this case, no. I will say, here you see, in case of active mission, one block is pulled by tension in this direction. One block is while another block is coming down. The tension acts upward direction. Body also move in the upward direction. So what is the work done by tension on the body? That is positive. Here it is negative. Work is done by the tension on the single body. When you consider the system, net work done by tension is 0. But here only one body is there, not system. Because of tension, only one body is in motion, not two bodies. If two bodies are there, then work done by the tension on the system of two bodies is 0, no doubt. Okay. Work done by friction is negative here, because whenever the body is moving in this direction, friction opposes the motion of the body in opposite direction. That's why work done by friction we got negative now. Right. So this is the one more case. Spring concept also. Okay, along with vertical circle problems and spring concept problems. So here, suppose there is a spring. There is a uniform spring having certain original length. There is a uniform spring having certain original length. Here, by applying some external force, the spring is displaced through a length equal to, say, x. Suppose by applying some force on the one end of the spring, one end of the spring is fixed and the other end is free. The other end is pulled with certain force, so that the extension of the spring is equal to x. When you release the spring at this end, immediately the spring come back now. That means whenever the spring is extended or spring is compressed, at that time some forces are developed in the spring because of elastic property of the spring, and that force, suppose when the spring is extended, that spring force acts on the spring, that brings spring back to the original position. That's why spring force developed is always opposite to the extension or compression of the spring. Suppose the spring is extended, the spring force developed in this direction, and when you remove the external force, this, here you see, applied force is equal to spring force only. If you apply the force on the spring, which is equal to, say, F, then same amount of spring force is developed in the spring, and the spring force brings the spring back to the original position after removal of this external force. Okay, and whenever the extension is more spring force is developed to bring the spring back to the original position. That's why spring force developed is directly proportional to extension or compression of the spring. Spring force developed in the spring is directly proportional to extension or compression of the spring, but it is opposite to extension or compression. Suppose if extension is there, spring force is in this direction. If compression is there, spring force is in this direction. That's why the spring force developed in the spring is directly proportional to the negative of extension or compression, where x is the extension of the spring, extension or compression in the spring, compression. Okay, or Fs is equal to some proportionality constant k into minus x means minus kx. This is the formula for spring force, where proportionality constant k is called spring constant. Of course, in Newton's laws, I said, I think k is called spring constant or stiffness constant, or it is also called as the force constant. Force constant. Here, what is the relation between spring constant and length of the spring, natural length of the spring? Yeah, vertical circular motion is completed, Siddharth. Of course, we can do more problems also. We can do number of problems, innumerable number of problems. Already we did some problems. If extra problems are there, tomorrow I will explain. In study hour you can do. I will send the assignment to you. Okay? Right. You see? On what factor k value depends? Already I said. On what factors k value depends? Come on, you respond immediately. On what factor k value depends? Spring constant depends on the nature of the material of the spring and length of the spring. And length of the spring. Nature of material. Nature of material means elastic property of material of the spring. So k value depends on nature of material of spring, nature of material of spring, and length of the spring. Length of natural length of the spring. Natural length means whenever it is extended or compressed. In such case, we should not take the length. When there is no compression or extension, in such case, the length of the spring is called natural length. So natural length of the spring. It was found that the spring constant is inversely proportional to natural length of the spring. L, natural length of the spring. Natural length of spring. Okay. Now, the spring force developed is also the conservative force. The spring force Fs, spring force Fs is also a conservative force. Spring force developed is also a conservative force. That's why the work done by spring force, is equal to change in potential energy of the spring minus the change in potential energy of the spring, because work done by the conservative force is equal to minus of change in potential energy. Minus of change in potential energy means final potential energy minus initial potential energy. That is equal to, you write the minus inside, then it becomes ui minus uf. So what is the potential energy stored in the spring? Now we have to derive the formula for potential energy stored in the spring. Now we have to derive the formula for potential energy stored in the spring. Potential energy stored in the spring, or elastic potential energy stored in the spring. Suppose here one end of the spring is fixed to the rigid support, and at the other end, by means of an external force, it is extended by means of external force, which is equal to spring force developed. The spring is extended by a length L, by a length x. Then what is the work done by spring force here? What is the work done by spring force? Work done by here, you see, as long as extension takes place, as the spring force developed is equal to the magnitude, that is equal to kx. No, spring force developed is equal to kx. Whenever extension gradually increases, the spring force also increases. That's why while the spring is extending or compressing, the spring force continuously varies linearly with the extension or compression. That's why variable force acts on the spring. In such case, for the small extension of the spring dx, the work done by the spring force is equal to dw is equal to, or work done by external force you write first. So here, whenever the spring force is extended by x, then force required to extend the spring by X is equal to action force is equal to whenever by applying external force F, the spring is extended by a length X. As long as extension increases, the applied force to be increased to extend the length. That's why work done by external force is equal to applied force, which is numerically equal to spring force into extension of the spring dx. Because for the small extension, there is no conceivable change in the spring force or applied force. That's why for the small extension, the force to be applied, or spring force to be applied is equal to Fs only. Okay, this is equal to Fs means Kx. Spring force Fs is equal to F, that is equal to Kx. So Kx into dx. Therefore, total work done by external force in extending the spring from x is equal to 0 to x is equal to x. Total work done is equal to integral Kx dx from limits x equal to 0 to x is equal to x. Therefore, work done is equal to K is constant, you keep outside. Integral x dx means x square by 2. Even if you substitute the limits 0 to x, you will get this only. Therefore, work done by external force or work done by external agent to extend the spring by a length x is equal to 1 by 2 k into x square. 1 by 2 k into x square. This work done by the external force on the spring stored in the spring as the potential energy. That's why this is equal to potential energy. Therefore, work done by external force on spring. Work done by external force on spring is stored in the spring. Is stored in the spring as potential energy. Therefore, potential energy U is equal to W, that is equal to half k x square. Therefore, potential energy stored in the spring U is equal to half k x square. We can write that is also equal to. You see, whenever the applied force on the spring is equal to F, then spring force developed in the spring is equal to F is equal to kx. We can write now. Instead of k into x, you write F. One more x is there. That's why half F into x we can write. Instead of x, you write F by k. F by k whole square. F square by k square. K square cancel. F square by k. So F square by k, here 2 is there, 2k. So these all are the formulas for spring potential energy stored in the spring. These all are the formulas for potential energy stored in the spring. Now, based on this concept, already whenever the two springs having spring constants k1, k2 are connected in series, what is the effective spring constant? Already I said in Newton's laws of motion only. Whenever two springs having spring constants k1, k2 are connected in series, what is the effective spring constant? K1, k2 by k1 plus k2, no? Or 1 by k is equal to 1 by k1 plus 1 by k2, no? Whenever the two springs are connected in parallel, effective spring constant is k1 plus k2. So today you go through those concepts also. Whenever two springs are connected in series, what is the effective spring constant? Whenever they are in parallel, what is the effective spring constant? Today you go through those points in Newton's laws. Okay. Now, based on this energy stored in the spring, we have to do the problems. So some applications are note points. Okay, I will share the screen and I will explain them. Different note points. All of you see that note point. Okay, all of you see. Note 1. Consider, all of you read that note point. Consider a spring having a spring constant K. A block of mass M is attached to one end of the spring and the other end is fixed to the rigid support as shown in the figure. When the block is released, then minimum and maximum elongations in the spring are we have to find. Okay, now all of you see the board. Okay, note 1. Here, one spring is attached like this. One end of the spring is fixed to the rigid support. Okay, and at the other end, a load have a block having certain mass M is attached. Initially, whenever the block is at A, no extension is there in the spring. The spring constant is at K. It is a light spring. That means the mass of the spring is negligible. There is no extension or compression of the spring because of its own weight. That means mass of the spring is negligible. Whenever the block is at A, the spring is in unstable condition. Unstable condition means no spring force is developed. When what is the minimum extension of the spring? They asked. X minimum they asked. X minimum. Minimum extension of the spring they asked. Minimum extension. To obtain the minimum extension, you see, you slowly, already this block is attached to the lower end of the spring. Now the block is slowly moved downwards. Because of weight of the block pulls the lower end of the spring downwards. No, that's why the elongation of the spring takes place slowly. And when as long as the block comes down, the extension of the spring also gradually increases. So that spring force gradually increases. Whenever the block comes to certain position here, whenever the block displaces to a distance equal to x, then the weight of the block acts vertically down direction and the spring force developed in the spring. Because of displacement of the block to a distance x, the spring is extended by the same length x. Due to that, the spring force developed in the spring in upward direction and weight of the block downwards. Whenever the block is under equilibrium at this position, then the spring force developed and the weight both are equal in magnitude, opposite direction. That's why the block is under equilibrium at B. When the block is under equilibrium at B, the net force acts on the block becomes 0. At that time, whatever the extension of the spring, that is the minimum, x minimum. So in this case, as the block is under equilibrium, spring force developed is equal to weight mg. No, what is the spring force? Spring force is equal to kx, k into the extension of the spring. In this case, whenever the block is under equilibrium is x minimum. No, that's why x minimum is equal to mg by mg. So x minimum is equal to mg by k. It is the minimum extension in the spring. Minimum extension in the spring. Okay, similarly, suppose the same case, it may be asked in another way also. Suppose here, one example. The one end of the spring is fixed to the rigid support here, and it is passed over the light frictionless pulley. Here there is a pulley. Pulley is fixed here. The one end of the spring is fixed to the one end of the string and passed over the pulley, and at the other end of the string, a block of mass M is attached. At first, whenever the block is here at A, there is no extension in the spring. There is no extension or compression in the spring. Now, whenever the block is slowly releasing here like this, then whenever the block comes to this position to B, so that the displacement of the block is x, then the block does not move upwards or downwards. That means block is under equilibrium. Whenever the block is under equilibrium, the weight mg acts vertically downwards direction and the spring force developed in the spring acts in upward direction. As the block is under equilibrium, Fs is equal to mg. Actually, here Fs is not there. It is the tension of string. Here, as this string is connected to spring, whatever the spring force developed here, the same tension acts. The same tension equal to spring force is there. So here tension is equal to spring force only. Okay, that's why tension of string is equal to spring force only. Therefore, Fs means K into whenever the block comes down through a small distance here, so that the block is under equilibrium, the extension is minimum. That minimum extension x minimum is equal to mg. That means we have to release the block slowly like this, so that whenever the block is under equilibrium, then at that time if you down the hand, the block will not come down. That indicates block is under equilibrium at this point. So in this case, minimum extension of the spring is equal to mg by k. In both the cases, the extension of the spring is same. Okay, this is one example. Next, for maximum extension, it is for minimum extension. It is for minimum extension. Next, second one, for maximum extension for the given load. Maximum extension for the given load, x max. What you have to do? For the same load, to have the maximum extension, what you have to do? Tell me. For the same load, in order to have the maximum extension, what you have to do? Suppose same case, the same spring having spring constant k is attached to the fixed to the one end of this spring is attached to the rigid support. At the other end, a load of mass m is attached. Initially, whenever the load is at A, there is no extension or compression of the spring, so it is having natural length. In order to have the maximum extension, what you have to do generally? Tell me. We have to release suddenly now. Whenever the block is released suddenly, at first the weight of the block acts vertically downwards direction and no spring force is there, because the block is at this position, so that it is in natural length. As it is in natural length, there is no force, the spring force developed in the spring. At that time, on the block only weight acts. Now, whenever you release suddenly, then because of gravity, the block comes down. Whenever it starts moving downwards, then at the same time, as the extension starts, the spring force developed in the spring in opposite direction to the motion of the block. But initially, mg greater than spring force. That's why the block accelerates, and whenever it reaches the point B, so that the extension becomes minimum, at that time, the weight mg and spring force developed in the spring fs both are equal in magnitude. At that time, up to this, the block accelerates and acquires the maximum velocity. And whenever it acquires the maximum velocity, net force is equal to 0 here. That is called equilibrium position. So at equilibrium position only, the block acquires maximum velocity. But whenever the block is having maximum velocity at this point and the net force is 0, because of inertia of motion, the block continues to move in this direction. Whenever block continues to move in downwards direction, now the spring force becomes greater than the weight of the body. That's why the block decelerates, and whenever the block reaches certain position here C, then the velocity of the block becomes 0. At that time, spring force becomes greater than the weight of the body. At this case only, at this point B only, spring force is equal to weight. At this point C, spring force greater than weight. That's why the block travel with deceleration, and whenever the velocity becomes 0, at that time, the extension of the spring is maximum. That maximum extension is x max. What is that x max? That is the question they asked. Here, this is the lowest point now. It is the lowest point of the block. That's why you take this as the reference line. Here, work is done by the gravity and work is done by the spring force. Work is done by the gravity. You see, whenever the block comes down, the weight acts in downwards direction, and displacement of the block also downwards direction. So work is done by the gravity. Here, velocity of the body is 0. Here also velocity of the body is 0. Now you apply the work energy theorem here. In this case, you apply the work energy theorem. According to work energy theorem, so according to, of course, we can apply the conservation of energy principle or work energy theorem. According to work energy theorem, tell me, whenever the block comes from A to B, when block comes from A to B, when block A to C, when block comes from A to C, according to work energy theorem, net work done is equal to change in kinetic energy, final kinetic energy minus initial kinetic energy. Okay, so you see, final kinetic energy is 0 because velocity of the block is 0. Initial kinetic energy is 0 because velocity of the block is 0. Net work done means while the block is coming down, gravitational force acts on the block. That's why work is done by the gravity. Plus at the same time, while block is coming down, Spring force acts on the block upwards, no? Spring force acts on the block in upward direction. That's why work is done by the spring force also. That is equal to 0. What is the work done by gravity? Tell me. Whenever the block comes down to a distance equal to x max, then work done by gravity is equal to gravitation force downwards and displacement of the block also downwards. That's why work done by gravity is positive, which is equal to mg into x max. Plus, what is the work done by spring force? While the block is coming down to a distance x max, spring force is in opposite direction. That's why work done by spring force is negative. What is the work done by spring force? Whatever the work done by the spring force, that work, the equivalent energy is stored in the spring as the potential energy. Here we see, spring force is the conservative force. Whenever the block comes down here, work done by spring force is negative. When work is done by the conservative force is negative, then potential energy increases. Already I said, when work done by conservative force is positive, potential energy decreases. Here, whenever the block comes down, spring force acts on the block in upward direction. So work done by the conservative force is spring force is negative. That's why potential energy is increased. So work here, whatever the work done by the spring on any block, that is equal to change in the energy stored in the spring. So initially, when the block is at A, it is in natural length. That's why no energy is stored. Whenever the block comes down to C, then the extension of the spring is equal to x max. That's why potential energy stored in the spring is equal to half k into x max pi. But this is the work done by the spring. But work done by the spring in this case is negative, no? So minus. This is equal to 0. Therefore, mg x max is equal to half k into x maximum square. X maximum square cancel. So x maximum is equal to 2 mg by k, no? But 2 into mg by k means in previous case we got x minimum. That's why x maximum is equal to twice the x minimum value. So in order to have the maximum extension, just we have to release the block so that extension of the spring becomes maximum. Okay, this is one note point. Next. Next, you see the sixth one. In displayed problem, you see concept. Third note point. Of course, I will send this total derivations in PDF. I will keep in WhatsApp group. Okay, third one. Here, in the figure shown, blocks A and B are released from rest when spring is in natural length. For block B of mass M to leave contact with the ground, then minimum mass of the block should be. Okay, all of you see here on the board. Here, a frictionless slide pulley is fixed to the rigid support. String is here. The one end of the string is fixed to the one end of the spring, and the string is passed over the pulley. Here to the lower end of the string, a block of mass M. Suppose this is the block A. This is block. What is the symbol given in the problem? Okay. Here, this is a block B whose mass is M. It is kept on the horizontal surface. Okay. Here the spring constant is K. One end of the spring is fixed to the block of mass M, and the other end is fixed to the one end of the string. That string is passed over the light frictionless pulley, and another block is fixed at the other end of the string. That block is A, whose mass is Ma. Here we say, suppose the mass of this block is greater than the mass of this block. Then if you release slowly, then even the block is under equilibrium. At that time, whenever the block is under equilibrium, Whenever the block is released here, the block comes down slowly, and whenever the block comes to this position, at that time, whenever the block is under equilibrium, the weight mg acts downwards direction mag, and the tension developed in the spring acts in this direction. The same tension is developed here. Of course, the tension and spring force both are equal. Here, the same tension is developed in the spring as the spring force, and here the spring force acts on the block in upward direction. The spring force developed only pulls the block in upward direction. As ma greater than m, sorry, mass of the block B is equal to m, that is greater than mass of the block A. So here, in this case, whenever the block is under equilibrium, tension is equal to spring force now. That's why the tension is equal to spring force, which is equal to mag. So Fs is equal to mag. That mag is less than mg because m is greater than ma. No? That's why the spring force is not sufficient to pull the block upwards. What we have to do? What is the minimum mass with which we can raise this block? At the time, we have to release the block suddenly, not slowly. Whenever the block is released suddenly, then extension the block, extension the spring here is equal to displacement of the block. Suppose the displacement of the block is maximum for the given mass. At that time, then spring force developed is equal to K into X max. What is the X max value? What is the extension the spring required for the block to rise? Spring force developed is equal to K into X max. That is equal to, as this block is to be lifted, the spring force must be equal to mass of the block B into C. From this, maximum extension of spring must be equal to MVZ by K. Maximum extension of the block must be equal to MVZ by K. So, the spring must be extended by this length when you just release the block. Okay. Then what about the tension of the block? Tension of here, this is equal to, this is the equation 1. Whenever the block is released suddenly, then extension of the spring is equal to how much? Tell me. Previously we have derived now. X max equal to, but X max is equal to 2 mag by K now. X max is equal to 2 mag by K. Whenever the block is released suddenly, the maximum extension of the spring is equal to, already we derived, 2 mg by K. Previously we have done. Okay, that's why this is equal to 2 mag by K. This is equation. From these two, these are equal. Mvz by K is equal to 2 mag by K. G by K cancel. Then Ma is equal to Mv by 2. That is equal to Mv means M by 2. So whenever the mass of the block here is equal to half of the mass of this block, then by releasing suddenly, we can lift the block upwards. So this is the mass. Okay. Right. Time is over. Okay. Based on the spring concepts, we had to do some problems, simple problems today. If possible, I will take the class today. Okay. Right. I'm signing out.